So now we have said that talking about EMI, we are talking about telemedicine, we are talking about how we take care of the patient data. Now one question always comes, particularly in my IMI events also we discuss. So the question is, who will be the custodian of the data if we take the patient data and put it into the computer? So do you have, Ms. Can you say something on that part?
This is a very difficult question. Tell you what are the problems. One of the problems that IT people don't understand about data is for them data is fixed and data carries no problem. So that if you have a if you put a number or you write something, it just goes into an archive. The problem that you have to remember with medical treatment is that people make mistakes. Right? People make mistakes, people make the wrong diagnosis. And if you make a wrong diagnosis, you're medically liable for that wrong diagnosis. So, unfortunately, it is the case that people don't, because of electronic medical data recording, the recording is not active. Because the doctor will not commit himself to doing something, and this is a problem. This is a big problem. For example, when I was a student, or even a junior doctor, I used to see that all my seniors used to write things in pieces of paper, on the sheets, on the notes. Almost nobody writes anything anymore in hospital management systems. Do you know why that is? Because this takes a long time to type. There is only one computer in a ward, maximum of two computers in a ward. 7 doctors come in at the same time. Who has got time to look at, to wait for few rounds for 7 computers? So doctors just walk over and they write stuff. Now the guardian, who's going to be the guardian of the data? What doctors come and write ISQ in status quo. That means it's the same thing. So you get, suppose somebody is in ICU, you get days and days and days of people writing ISQ. What does that mean? Who is actually writing any stuff? The communication with, this is who owns the data. So eventually the hospital owns the data, right? Or the health service owns the data. And they can do whatever they want with it. And a doctor who is working there for 2 years can go away after 2 years and then be liable 10 years later for a medical error that he had made, which he didn't realize at that point in time. So it's a big problem. Unless doctors take charge of the data themselves, I am afraid it's a big problem. It's actually reducing the information transfer that we do.
Okay, so now my next question to Lux. The question is, when we are talking about cloud, or even we say data center and where the application is running, because nowadays we are only talking about web-based applications. In medical field, particularly, the size of the files are very high. Okay, and passing them through a dongle, though you have mentioned dongle, but maybe that is perfect for communication of the information about the patient, with patient administration, or those type of things, or maybe writing the diagnosis. But when we have to send an ECG, or we have to send a scanned radio diagnostic scan record, those type of cases, our passing the information from one system to another, this is becoming a huge problem, and that's a bottleneck. So can you tell some solutions on that?
It's a great question. How are we doing it today? I think it's a combination of a couple of things that we're doing. One part of it is actually what is called as the asynchronous data transfer, which means that the data is transferred actually overnight when the connectivity is off. We are not really transferring the data on real-time now on a immediate basis. What gets transferred is the transactional data, which is what will help the doctor to diagnose maybe the vitals and stuff like that. If it's an ECG that needs to be studied and actually come back, we follow a simple system of what is in practice in the medicine unit. We actually tell them to come back tomorrow. We give an appointment for them to come back tomorrow. The data transfer actually happens overnight. Wherever it actually gets bandwidth, we sequentially process the data, and it actually, then the next day, the radiologist or the GP will actually passes comments on the record of the particular patient. So that way, we are actually, there is an order of all the transactions and records are actually right there on the electronic medical record of the patient. One of the ways actually we are also handling it is, we have a local data repository. We actually keep the data at local as well. We use some of the advanced storage technologies, which is called as
10 GB.
Okay, so
19.
you have accounts, Gmail accounts. Most of you may have it, or actually for that matter,
10 GB.
User
19.
accounts. So what's the size of the database there?
19 GB.
25
19.
GB. Do you think actually 25 GB is ready? Hypothetically, if you can create a file size of 25 GB, will it be available for you at that time? Actually, no. The whole idea is to actually provide you incremental storage as and when you need it. You know, this is actually what is called as thin provisioning in technology terms. So we are using some of those techniques, and I'm very excited to actually share with you that there's some advancement that's happening in the field of technology transfer for medical imaging now, where there's a device that actually helps in capturing the data and samples it, typically actually of what happens both data port and digital technologies, and there is a receiver on the other side which is able to actually reconstruct it with the closest accuracy. Some of these things are actually happening, exciting times, but suffice it to say there's a tremendous amount of potential that's there. Yeah, these are things that are happening.
Thank you. So now, yeah.
Say something about the resolution of images. See, one of the problems is, have you seen X-ray, right? An X-ray is basically shades of grey. What you're looking at is shadows in shades of grey. Now, if you get an X-ray which is normal, it's very easy to report on an X-ray which is normal. The problem is reporting on an X-ray which is abnormal. And if you do not have a sufficiently high resolution image, most radiographers they give a report, but the report will be very vague. If you say something like needs clinical correlation, there is a shut. I want the radiographer to give me a diagnosis, the radiologist to give me a diagnosis. Actually, a lot of telemedicine that happens is actually useless because what they're reporting is it's the number stuff that you're saying is vital signs. That's fine. That's very good. That's very easy. Even an ECG is easy because it can be seen easily. The problem is with X-rays. What you're saying, if you don't have enough bandwidth, if you don't have enough high resolution images, if you don't have a high resolution monitor, then people are not going to commit to a useful diagnosis. So I think, we have to move towards. We have to move towards high resolution images. We have to move towards at least making a data pipe for a particular purpose. So if you can keep a data pipe, as you were saying, at night images, large files are transferred at night on a dedicated data pipe, or you were saying this lease line technology just kept for that. You can use dongles for just exchanging data. Yes.
Yeah, actually, if that's what I asked Ajay to note it down immediately to this point, because we are suggesting a very similar thing. We are saying that the report, diagnostic report, that report can be sent immediately, but the file can go at midnight when the things are not there, and we can use video streaming, asynchronous communications, and we can pass the things through that. This is exactly what I was suggesting. Okay, you first.
Right now, there are certain technology which is known as the teleradiology, which is also available to pass at the same time. 3D radio telegraphy is available.
Oh, great.
Where the 100 MB or your X-ray is compressed into some 1 MB or 2 MB.
Okay, anyway, I have one more question to Mr. Gujrati. Okay, so the question is now positively we have so many solutions. Okay, we are also having here some people who are also having different solutions available with them. Now these solutions, the problem which we are facing with us, including your solutions also, all the problems that it is developed at a point of time, and the technology is moving very fast. So, because I know that you are trying or you are actually working on changing your solutions to the new grade, how difficult it is, or what is the way of taking a solutions to the next grade?
Yeah, this is a very challenging question because nowadays a lot of things and technology is increasing day by day. So what we are doing it, we are also upgrading our solution in a similar fashion. Whatever the new technology, we are adopting those technology and moving forward with them.
But how difficult it is? Is it very difficult, or moderate difficult, or very easy?
See, certain technologies, only the difficult part is rightly mentioned about the EMR and the teleradiology, but rest of the things are moderate.
Fine. So I have already asked some questions. Now I'm making it open here. Sure. Yeah, can you provide some?
I think I am audible. My question is to class and Dr. Roshan. This is, as you have been talking about the problem
technology. I mean, there's X-rays that are routinely reported in X-rays from the US, for example, are routinely reported in India. So there are very good data transfer technologies. I think what we are all talking about is, I think if you're going to focus on the urban side of India, it's different. But I think all of our discussion was on the rural side, was where communication is difficult. Where communication is easy, it's not a
Maybe
problem.
you don't have modern digital devices over there.
I think if you're talking about large urban centers, it's not a problem. Because I think large urban centers, you can easily get data transferred and it's not a problem.
I'm talking about the rural.
Yeah, rural side of the thing.
When the X-ray or USG are taken, which are giving analog pictures, where there is no digital interface between the.
I think that's very dangerous. No doctor that I know will give a definitive opinion if he's medico-legally liable for a mistake. No doctor will give an opinion on an analog image which is then converted into digital. I don't think that's nobody will do.
Maybe this actually, I think the whole idea of, it's really exciting to talk about, how compression techniques can actually add a lot of value. It may be actually applicable in fields that are like music and video and all. Audio streaming in itself is actually a technique that is evolved over time. I think the balance will be to actually look at, what we are compromising in terms of data coherence to actually what we are transmitting. We can attenuate the data to actually 75% or something like that, but as actually the doctor here says, if a doctor has to actually see it, and if the diagnosis is actually based on eyes in the sky, which means I'm actually not sitting there, but I'm actually looking at a screen, then I need to actually have a perfect visual of what's happening. So there is actually some progress that's being made in here, but all these video compression technologies are still actually riding on top of your regular video compression. Okay, for medicine domain, there's no standard as such, but then you could actually add it.
See, on the X-ray side, video streaming he has rightly mentioned, but on the X-ray side, there are certain solutions, software solutions which are available, which compresses the your X-ray images and then reconstruct it at the other end, which is known as the PAC systems, the picture archive systems, which can be transferred either even in the mail also. So it converts the images of the X-ray images from a DICOM to a digital, and then again from digital to DICOM at the other end. So it's an actual image which the technician is viewing it. At the other end, the same image is reconstructed and put forward. And teleradiology is based on that only. The technician is taking care of all the images capturing or the video capturing, and the radiologist is sitting at some other part of the world, and he is doing the reporting it. And the same images are taken care by the consulting doctors also, and it's not only the report they are viewing it; they view the actual slice of the X-rays also at the same time.
See, let me explain. There are a lot of practical issues here. It's like this. I have a whole lot of patients who live all over West Bengal. So, suppose they had a cancer removed from somewhere, right? So there was a shadow which had a cancer removed. 6 months later, you do an X-ray to see whether that shadow is completely gone or not and whether new shadow has come. Every 6 months, you have to do one X-ray. See, what you are looking at that point is a change. So as long as they're getting it done at the same place, you can see the change very easily. The advantage for the patient is they don't have to come back every 6 months from Asansol or Durgapur. They can just stay there and have an X-ray done every 6 months. That patient is very convenient. That patient is ideal for teleradiology. That patient is ideal for telemedicine. Follow up